Fans, welcome to the inaugural episode of Nerd Words. I'm here, of course, it's John Muse, my longtime wrestling co-host, Dancing Stevie, and Alan Miller. And we've got several things to discuss. We're going to start out talking about Captain America, the Winter Soldier.
I found it to be a really entertaining film. Captain America portrayed very faithfully again in this one. Probably one of my favorite Marvel movies. I think it and Thor 2 both exceeded their original, movies, and I really like Captain America. It's probably my second favorite of the Disney Marvel movies to the Avengers.
It's an awesome movie. I agree. After watching the second one, I was thinking back to the first one, and they're both really solid, good comic book movies. They really are.
Here's what's the best part about it to me. If you completely take the comic book aspect out, Captain America 1 is a really good World War II movie, and Captain America 2 is just a really good espionage movie.
So they work on multiple levels.
Well, Marvel hasn't figured out where DC is lacking, first of all. Marvel has figured out their comic book movies. In DC, with the Batman, just kind of, Marvel's doing a much better job.
The big thing about it to me, Marvel has a stronger cast of villains to work with, first off. That always helps. And honestly, Marvel has a better cast of heroes to work with as well.
Well, I mean, honestly, just look at what we get in this one. We get Hydra, we get Arnim Zola in a much less stupid way than I was afraid he was going to be portrayed.
It was very weird.
We got the origin of Crossbones, and we got basically the evil, high level government official.
Yeah. There was a few Easter eggs here and there if you knew what you were looking for, did you?
Yeah.
I can't imagine you're watching this show without knowing, but you may be.
You never leave during the credits of a Marvel movie.
Well, that's a given, but I mean, like beyond that, there was some movie crossover stuff I noticed. Did you notice that?
You got the name drop of Stephen Strange.
Which was one of my favorites.
You've got the Tombstone.
That's the one I noticed, like immediately. That was
The
pretty
Path
good.
of the Righteous Man.
Yeah,
The Pulp Fiction.
Pulp
yes.
Fiction reference in the new Captain America movie. So, yeah, it was good.
Well, they do a great job of tying in other movies. If you watch Captain America, Thor, or any other current Marvel movie, you're getting a prelude to another Marvel movie.
Yeah, Marvel's universe is big, and you notice the movies, they're like comic books. Comic books leave everything open-ended all the time. You have a definitive story arc ending in a comic, but you're left open for another movie.
Oh, the cliffhangers are wonderful.
And it spirals into the other movies.
Like, okay, we met Agent 13 in this one, who's been assigned to guard Captain America. And we know her first name's Sharon.
So, did it not also say that her last name was Carter?
Did they actually say that her last name was
I
Carter?
recall they said her last name was Carter.
can't
So
remember
we know
that for
she's
sure.
Sharon
I
Carter.
thought they
I'm
called
almost
her
positive
Agent
they
Carter
said
throughout the film.
Agent Carter, yeah.
And then they didn't call her Sharon until the end of it.
And by the same token, we got you got the Iron Man tie-in. Did y'all notice the Iron Man 2 tie-in to this one?
Yeah.
Gary Shandling.
Yeah.
It turns out he's a corrupt, Hydra-influenced senator.
And of course, you introduced the Falcon in this one. So
Oh, yeah, that was the...
I'm not sure if the Falcon will ever get a solo movie, but I could see him being in an Avengers movie in the future.
He offers a nice support character role while not a headliner himself.
And, obviously the villain is the Winter Soldier.
Right.
Other movie news, not directly, it's a Marvel characters, but Spider-Man 2 is coming out in about 2 weeks. And as everyone knows, it's playing overseas already. The big thing about Spider-Man 2 that's been revealed already is the big credit scene features X-Men Days of Future Past, that cast in a battle. So to me, I can't imagine that Sony's doing it out of the goodness of their heart to help support 20th Century Fox. To me, in my opinion, that's Fox and Sony are kind of putting their chips in together to maybe combat Disney on the Marvel front and build a universe where Spider-Man and the X-Men coexist.
You got to think about it, because they've got Fantastic Four, too.
Yeah, I forgot they do have Fantastic Four.
We all know that Spider-Man is probably the strongest character as far as his cast of villains in comics.
Yeah, he's the most popular comic character since the 1960s.
So you got Spider-Man, but the problem with building a Spider-Man universe, you don't have a lot to work with outside Spider-Man and his villains. You can eventually turn Venom hero, and It's rumored that Black Cat's gonna be in the movie.
And they're building the Spider-Man universe, of course, but I said that was interesting to me. I mean, right now Sony is just saying, well, we're just trying to help them out, but you don't help your rivals out unless you have a specific plan
That's true.
to team up against them. And Disney approached Sony about this, and Sony pretty much flat out refused them. And I could just see that leading to a crossover with the X-Men and Spider-Man, or combining the universe of the X-Men, Spider-Man, and the Fantastic Four.
Well, in the comics, Spider-Man and Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, are big buddies.
They are.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you can always bring in as offshoot heroes Cloak and Dagger, Iron Man Power Fist.
you can't bring in
It'd be nice to
Iron Man
bring
and
in
Iron
those
Fist,
guys.
they're Marvel.
I'm not 100% sure what all Marvel owns of that group.
Well, there are
We
so
know
many-
Marvel Studios has Spider-Man and Iron Fist because they're getting the Netflix shows.
But doesn't Sony only have the rights to Spider-Man?
They have the rights to Spider-Man, and as far as I know, his cast of villains.
Right, but that's all they've got.
Right. That's why,
But I don't think they have Cloak and Dagger, and I think that would be great to
Uh,
see those two come in.
Well, that's what I said.
I can see those two having
I
one
can
of
see
those
those two
Netflix series.
come into the Marvel
Yeah.
universe. I'm considering there's the Marvel Disney universe, and then there's the rest of the Marvel universe, which is split, as we said, between 20th Century Fox and Sony. But it appears that 20th Century Fox and Sony may be teaming up, and that would be big news.
And Sony's got such a broad lineup of X-Men related stuff coming out anyway.
Maybe we could have
And we know there's a Fantastic Four reboot.
quite popular Spider-Man versus Wolverine comic from the 80s.
Yeah,
It'd be interesting.
And maybe they could finally make a good Wolverine movie if they put Spider-Man in it. I don't know.
That would be good, possibly.
Maybe.
That would be good.
I am looking forward to the Spider-Man movie.
Oh, I am too.
Very
I
much so.
greatly enjoyed the first one.
Oh, yeah.
And hopefully X-Men Days of Future Past becomes a good X-Men movie.
We're due for a good X-Men movie.
We
See,
It
I
would
actually
be
really,
about
I
time.
liked First Class.
First Class is the
First
best
Class
X-Men
was
movie
good.
there is.
Yeah,
so far.
Previously to that, though, it kind of went downhill, I thought.
Wolverine soured me so much on the X movies being so bad that it's tarred the rest of it.
I know that I'm not, I know John's not. Have either of you saw the second Wolverine
I
movie?
haven't. How bad is it?
Oh,
yeah.
Steve's gonna admit it.
Did you?
Yeah, I
Say that the
saw
four
it.
of us has not seen it.
I saw it.
It blows dust.
It was not as good as the first one.
Yeah.
Well, that says a lot.
It was not as good as the first one.
I'd heard that it was really bad by
Even Electra was probably better than that then.
the bald, flamboyant Dr. Butterini. Told me that it was a pretty terrible film, and I generally trust Butter in most things. So apparently he was right. That first one was so bad though that I was just like, done with the Wolverines.
Yeah, it's pretty terrible.
They'll eventually replace Hugh Jackman. He's about at the end of his rope. And
You can only be an ageless hero so long. I mean,
And Hugh
I
Jackman
actually like
was not
Hugh
bad
Jackman, the
Wolverine.
actor, as Wolverine. He's just been handed
I thought he
terrible steaming piles of vomit to work with.
the best part of the
He
Wolverine
did the
movie
best he could with what he
to
was
me
dealt.
was Deadpool. And what do you do with Deadpool? Deadpool's known as a merc with the mouth. He runs his mouth. He's great. You sew his mouth shut for the whole movie.
And give him giant katanas that grow out of his hands.
So you
It-
take
it
the
makes
I don't
best
know how that
sense.
works.
Made no
That's-
sense to me.
and you clam and you shut off his dialogue, and just it's not wasn't for the best. And I said I'm a huge comic nerd, have been for all my life, and when I won't even go see the movie.
That's bad.
That's
That
telling.
tells you how
That's
bad
really
I
telling.
found the first one.
Yeah.
And also on the movie front, in the coming months, we also have Guardians.
Yeah, I'm still interested to see how they're going to tie Guardians in with the Avengers universe, but apparently they're going to. I mean, I know we got the spoiler scene at the end of Thor, and the Collector appears to be collecting items of vast cosmic power.
And of course, there's, I'm not as current in Marvel. I don't think any of us are, unless Steve's maybe reading.
Not really, no.
I don't know what they've done with some of these characters in current Marvel universe, but it's, Star-Lord's an Earthman that winds up across the galaxy. Drax is originally an Earthman, so you've got that, and you got the whole Nova Corps thing going on, and obviously there's an Earthman member of the Nova Corps. So there's avenues to tie it into the Avengers.
I mean, we'll see how when the Avengers come out, how they handle Ultron, and how they've made him. I mean, he may have a completely different origin. You never know. But it's a vast and interesting universe. To me, DC's hopelessly behind almost. They may eventually catch up.
I think-
Honestly,
I think if
if
you
they
throw
keep-
the right kind of script with the right kind of, you
Well-
know, all the things could line up.
If they
Good
have the
story.
right stuff, then they give us Green Lantern.
I thought that was better than either the new Superman movie or the third Batman movie.
I mean, I know that
The
for
third
some
Batman
reason
movie, don't get me started.
that Christopher Nolan's worshipped by almost all the nerd community. I don't know why. I found that third Batman to be atrocious. It was terribly
It was
shot.
terrible.
Leaps of
And Bane talked like this.
Right, it wasn't even Bane speaking that way. It was just, and one minute Talia goes driving the truck, the next minute she's in the passenger seat, then it flips back over, she's in the truck again. I don't know. I thought that.
It seemed to me like they did not know how to end the story.
It was
Well,
terrible.
it's the same thing that happened in the second one. Heath Ledger, I thought, was brilliant as the Joker. It should have ended there, but they have another 30 minutes tacked on of worthless Two-Face stuff.
Every Batman movie that has Joker in it, Joker has always just excelled as far as just presenting to the audience, more so than Batman, I
Well, I
think.
mean, that's the big thing about the DC universe is their villains, they have very few that are good, and the heroes can be bland. Now, the Man of Steel movie, that one was kind of bad too, but it had the same problem Batman did. Christopher Nolan's influence. Christopher Nolan helped write the script for it. Because DC just said, here, Christopher Nolan, Batman made a lot of money. You make everything you want and do everything you want with it. You're in control.
Well, they actually had a writer that has written what I consider a really good superhero movie in Watchmen.
That's my only hope for Superman Batman is that Zack Snyder has took over all the writing on it basically, and Christopher Nolan's not in the writing loop anymore.
Right, and of course there's a lot of that we'll discuss in future episodes about some of the stuff, because DC actually has a really good TV thing. And real quick before we wrap this up, because then we're running short on time, I know you watch Shield. I think I don't know if Steve did, but John and I have not. But there was what happened in Captain America has directly affected the last 2 episodes.
Believe it or not, I've actually missed the last episode of S.H.I.E.L.D., so I'm not up to date on that very last episode of S.H.I.E.L.D.
From what I understand, the S.H.I.E.L.D. season finale, because Hydra had infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D. and S.H.I.E.L.D. essentially collapsed.
Yeah, S.H.I.E.L.D. is gone. S.H.I.E.L.D. is down.
So we got
and
the one more episode
Yeah.
this week.
Yeah.
And they're all fighting for themselves.
And that's
basically.
reflected in the current
That is
S.H.I.E.L.D.
reflected
series.
into the TV show. That is correct. And S.H.I.E.L.D. is getting a whole lot better. And when S.H.I.E.L.D. first started out, it was kind of going on its own pace, but it has ramped up dramatically.
I watched those first 2 and they were not good enough to keep my interest, but maybe I should go back and check the season out.
That's the
definitely
beauty
worth
of
watching.
stuff like Netflix, on demand, and all that. Fans, as we are a new show and have a new YouTube channel, we are limited to 15 minutes. So we're going to wrap this one up, and we will have several more episodes to come. We'll see you next time.